Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Summoner 3, Raidou Kuzunoha versus... Well, I don't know. The names are always really long and complicated and have something to do with the actual story, and I never really came up with the main story of this one. I did come up with the setup, though. If you haven't played the Devil Summoner games, they're the spin-off slash subset of the SMT universe, where it's an action RPG instead of a regular turn-based system. So you get to move around, and the demons are like your party members, like in Kingdom Hearts, and you can call on them to do their skills and whatnot. And it was cool because in the first two, it was set in like 1920s Japan. And so you'd have like, and you worked as a detective, so you had a gun, and you could like put special kinds of bullets in it in the first one. And you would use the demons to solve mysteries. And so you would find them. And in the first game, it was very bare bones. Like, you would just capture demons by just grabbing them. And the fights were everything was fixed camera angles. But I really love the story, because it's like this mystery, and it's like broken up into like 12 episodes. And so each one is like this episodic adventure you can go on and finish in about like 1 to 2 hours. And so it felt perfectly paced, because the story was always moving forward a bit. And also it was just great, because it had that jazz soundtrack. Oh man, the great music. And it just felt really cool. Like you wanted to be there in Japan in the 1920s. Especially that battleship scene. You know the one I'm talking about. The second one, I don't really remember as fondly. I mean, gameplay-wise, it's much better. A rule of thumb with SMT games is that the most recent one to come out is always the best one, because they like refine all their systems. The demon summoning's always better, everything's cleaner, everything's less frustrating. It's just really great. So if you ever want to get in the SMT series, find the latest one and just pick up that one, ignore what other people say, and just enjoy, and it'll be amazing. Because they're great games at the time, but they're all kind of hard to go back to after a few years. But two, yeah, the combat was much better. Everything was super fast. You had all these special moves. You could take 2 demons in battle that time. Your gun was not as cool. It was much weaker than it was in the first one, because in the first one it was really important to stunning enemies. But in the second one, it's just kind of, But like, it was full 3D, the camera moved around. They had these really cool flashing colors. The game had this like story theme about luck, and so your luck stat was actually important, and you had to collect all these like flies that had something to do with giving people luck and whatnot. They're more like hornets, actually. The problem with 2, though, is that its story, even though it's like much better and much darker, it is not as well paced, because this time it's broken up into 7 chapters that are like way too long and don't end where the natural story should end. And so it just kind of, it didn't flow as well. It wasn't as well paced, and they did the crazy multiple routes things, and I don't really care for multiple endings in games, really, because they're usually just A or B, or C if you're SMT. But there was a ton of extra stuff to do, which was also nice, because in the first one there wasn't really any side missions, but this one did. Never really participated in them. So this is my idea for the third one, which has not been made. I hope it's what they're working on right now, because Persona 5 just came out, and it's like, who baby? And so in the story, the name Raidou Kuzunoha is actually a title that's passed on between all the Devil Summoners. And I thought that maybe this game will take place during the lifetime of the 15th, hence the XV in the title card. Because I thought it would be nice to move on from 1920s Japan, and in my eyes move to 1940s/50s Los Angeles. Yes, that is exactly because that is the location of many detective fiction, and it would like play really heavily into that in terms of story. I mean, it would just fit. It's like it's the place to go. However, some of you might be wondering, but wait, being a Japanese person in LA at that time would be not fun, right? Right, exactly. So I think it would be really cool if the game opened with your character obtaining his devil summoning abilities or learning that he has them in an internment camp. Because, as you know, that's what we did to the Japanese back then. And so we have an internment camp backstory, which is something I feel like Japan doesn't really get mad at us that as mad as they should be at us. But it would be really cool if they went there. I mean, one of my mottos for creating stuff and writing is just go there. Make people uncomfortable because they need to be uncomfortable, especially when they need to be uncomfortable. It would be totally awesome. In terms of actual gameplay, I mean, yeah, it'd be action. There'd be mysteries to solve. There'll be devil summoning. The fusion will be way better because it's always better. I don't know how you'd actually fight. I mean, you'll definitely have a gun. It might just be more of a. It might be more of like a Colt or a revolver this time. I would like to use. I would prefer we use the special bullets from the first game because that made them more important and you had to pay attention to them. In terms of melee combat, I don't know because you kind of can't walk around Los Angeles with a katana, especially back then, because you'll be arrested. But yeah, it'd be LA Noir with demon battles, and you might get to bang the demons.